Goblins run away from Xiongwu and his skeleton minions. They try to escape, but Xiongwu and his minions chase them down. One by one, the goblins fall. After the fight, Xiongwu gains enough experience to level up. Now he is at level 6. This time, he chooses a card that gives him a guaranteed strength boost. His strength increases by 3 points. Feeling stronger, Xiongwu steps outside. Jisoo stands there, catching her breath. She has just finished killing 9 goblins. The battlefield is now quiet. Xiongwu looks around and sees the goblins lying on the ground. He turns to Han-ho and tells him to collect all the daggers from the fallen enemies. Then he speaks to his team. He tells them that they will stop hunting goblins. Instead, they will now hunt orcs. He explains that orcs give more experience points and better rewards. The group agrees, and they begin searching for clues to find orcs. As they walk, they notice something strange. A few military vehicles are parked nearby. Dead bodies of soldiers are scattered around the area. It looks like they tried to fight back before they died. Some of them still hold their field shovels. Xiongwu and his team examine the scene carefully. Suddenly, they notice that one soldier is still alive. However, he looks confused. His eyes focus on the skeleton minion standing beside Xiongwu. He seems unsure whether Xiongwu is a friend or an enemy. Xiongwu quickly clears up the soldier's doubts. He explains that the skeletons are his summoned minions. The soldier slowly relaxes. He then tells his superior, Sergeant Kim, about Xiongwu's party. Sergeant Kim is in a very bad state. He sits inside a military vehicle, unable to move. His leg is injured, and he cannot leave his seat. He explains that a goblin slashed him during a fight. However, he managed to kill the goblin before it could finish him off. Xiongwu listens carefully. Then, he asks a serious question. He wants to know why the military is using shovels instead of guns. Sergeant Kim sighs. He tells them that guns no longer work. For some reason, firearms have become useless. Because of this, the military is in a terrible situation. They are struggling to fight against monsters. Han-ho looks at Sergeant Kim's injury. He turns to Xiongwu and asks if they can give the sergeant a healing potion. However, Xiongwu does not think it is a good idea to give things away for free. Sergeant Kim notices Xiongwu's hesitation. He quickly speaks up. He says that he has important information. In exchange for the healing potion, he will share what he knows. Xiongwu listens carefully. Sergeant Kim tells them about a new type of monster. These monsters are wolves, but they are as big as bulls. Many military squads have fought against them, but none have survived. These wolves are extremely dangerous. Sergeant Kim also tells them about 2 blue QR codes. He says he saw one QR code at a bus station and the other at a subway transfer center. If a player scans these QR codes, an app will install on their phone. He explains that all other communication systems are down. This app is the only way to talk to other survivors. Xiongwu thinks for a moment. Then he hands the healing potion to Sergeant Kim. The sergeant thanks him and drinks the potion. His injury slowly begins to heal. He then tells Xiongwu that he plans to rejoin the main military unit. He also offers to take Xiongwu's party with him. However, Xiongwu refuses. He does not think it is safe to stay with the military. Before leaving, Xiongwu gives Sergeant Kim a final warning. He tells him that dragons follow moving vehicles. This makes Sergeant Kim and the soldier even more afraid. However, they thank Xiongwu for the valuable information. The 2 groups then part ways. Xiongwu and his party arrive at the bus station. They quickly scan the blue QR code. As expected, an app installs on their phones. Xiongwu clicks on the official announcement. A message appears on the screen. It says that the game has officially launched today. The message also gives more details. In the first round of class elections, 821 people were chosen as players. However, only 341,000 are still alive. The second round of class card selection will take place in 3 days. The writer of the message says they are looking forward to humanity's performance in the next round. Xiongwu then opens the message board. However, there are no posts yet. He realizes why. Posting a message costs 1,000 gold. Even commenting on a post costs 100 gold. It is very expensive to use the message board. Suddenly, a post appears. Someone writes that they have reached level 8. They also say they are building a safe zone in an apartment complex in Hwaseong City. Han-ho gets excited. He says that the apartment is near his home. He thinks they should go there. However, Seong-woo is unsure. The people in the safe zone are already level 8. Meanwhile, he is still level 6. He wonders if it is a good idea to go there. Still, they decide to head toward the H apartments. As they begin their journey, something strange happens. The post suddenly disappears. A new post appears in its place. The new message says that the previous post was a mistake. The writer tells everyone to ignore it. The scene then shifts. We get a glimpse of the person who wrote the post. He has long, sharp teeth. His teeth look just like a vampire's. In the city, a father holds a baseball bat tightly. He stands in front of his daughter, trying to protect her from the goblins. His face is filled with fear, but he refuses to run away. He calls for help, but there is no one around. The goblins slowly move closer. Their sharp teeth and glowing eyes make them look terrifying. The father grips his bat harder, ready to fight. Just as the goblins are about to attack, a knife flies through the air. It hits one of the goblins on the hand from behind. The goblin screams in pain and turns around to see where the attack came from. Suddenly, more weapons fly toward them. The goblins are caught off guard. In an instant, Seong-woo's minions appear. The skeleton warriors attack swiftly, cutting down the goblins with ease. The father and daughter watch in shock. Seong-woo steps forward and tells them that he can take them safely back to their home. However, the father shakes his head. He explains that their house is very close. They only came out to search for food. Hearing this, Seong-woo decides to share some of his food with the survivors. The father gratefully accepts the food, thanking him. As they talk, 2 goblins suddenly run away. They head toward a basement and disappear inside. Han-ho watches them go and turns to Seong-woo. He asks if they should chase after the goblins inside the dungeon. Before Seong-woo can answer, the father speaks up. He warns them not to go down there. He explains that his friend used to run a karaoke bar in that basement. Recently, he heard strange stories about something far worse than goblins living down there. Seong-woo listens carefully. He thanks the father for the warning. Then he and his team enter the dungeon known as the Elder Slime Shrine. As they move deeper inside, they soon come across several slimes. These slimes are different from regular monsters. When defeated, each slime gives them 140 gold. However, the slimes have a dangerous ability. Their bodies are made of a corrosive substance that can dissolve metal. Luckily, the slimes have a weakness. They cannot melt bones. This makes Seong-woo's skeleton minions their perfect predators. The skeletons attack the slimes one by one, easily defeating them. Just as they are about to continue forward, a massive figure appears behind them. It is the Elder Slime, the boss of the dungeon. Before anyone can react, the Elder Slime strikes. It crushes one of Seong-woo's orc skeletons in an instant. Seong-woo quickly pulls out a basic bone spear and pierces the Elder Slime. However, the attack is not enough to stop it. Seong-woo realizes that he cannot summon new skeletons here because there are only shattered bones around. Instead, he uses the bones to create simple bone weapons. Jisoo sees an opportunity. She throws a skeleton towards Seong-woo. Using his skill, Seong-woo quickly turns the skeleton into 2 more bone spears. He throws them at the boss, piercing its body. The Elder Slime roars in pain, but refuses to go down. It tries to attack Seong-woo again. Just as the boss slime is about to hit Seong-woo, one of his orc skeletons gets caught in its attack. Han-ho quickly pulls the skeleton back. However, something unexpected happens. The orc skeleton was carrying a large bag filled with bones. The bag spills open, and the bones scatter all over the ground. Seong-woo immediately takes advantage of this. He uses his skill to create multiple bone spears. The new weapons fly toward the Elder Slime, piercing its body again and again. Meanwhile, Xiongwu's minions start cutting the slime into pieces. They make sure the slime cannot regenerate. Finally, they deliver the last attack. The elder slime lets out a final cry before collapsing. A notification appears. They receive 255 gold for defeating the boss. The battle is over. After the fight, Xiongwu notices something interesting. The slime's mucus is an extremely strong acid. He orders his minions to collect the mucus in empty bottles. He also receives an elder slime's core as a reward. The core is covered with a thick shell, but inside it contains a powerful concentrated acid. This acid can dissolve almost anything. It is also useful for fusing objects together. As Xiongwu examines the core, Hanho suddenly speaks up. He tells Xiongwu to check a new comment on the app. It looks like something strange is happening. The situation in the H apartments is getting worse. Hanho notices that every time someone comments about the apartments, their comment gets deleted. Hanho may act foolish sometimes, but even he can tell that something is wrong. Xiongwu listens to him carefully. He starts to understand that something dangerous is happening in H apartments. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, a group of thugs sits inside a car. They talk about their sinister plan. They have discovered a terrifying truth. If they kill a normal human, they receive 500 gold. However, if they kill a player, they receive 1,000 times the player's level in gold. This means that killing high-level players can make them rich quickly. Inside the car, a bulky thug turns to his bald boss. He asks about their real leader. The bald man looks nervous. His face turns pale as he answers. He reveals that their true boss is a serial killer known as Professor Red. The bald thug explains that Professor Red spared his life. However, he did not do it out of kindness. He only kept him alive so he could work for him. The bald thug shudders as he speaks. He can feel something inside him changing. Back in the slime shrine, Xiongwu stands in silence. He has been thinking deeply about the situation. Then he turns to Hanho and asks him a serious question. Does he think he can kill a person? Hanho looks at him in surprise. Xiongwu's expression is cold. He knows that from now on, things are about to get even more challenging. The bald thug remembers his past. He was once a normal human, but everything changed after he was bitten by a vampire lord. Slowly he transformed into a low-ranked vampire. At first, he was confused and terrified, but soon, his thirst for blood took over. He lost control of himself and ended up killing his own men. He drank their blood without hesitation. Professor Red watched everything with a pleased smile. He enjoyed seeing the bald thug fully embrace his new nature. In the present, the bald vampire sits inside a car. Suddenly, one of his men knocks on the car door. The man bows slightly and gives his report. They just received confirmation that their next prey has arrived. According to the comments on the app, there are 3 people waiting in the park. The bald vampire grins. He tells his subordinates that this will be their 17th victim. Apartments is a huge and complicated building. Its size makes it easy to lure people inside. The apartment residents usually stay quiet, pretending that none of this concerns them. However, once they run out of easy prey, the bald vampire knows they will have to target the residents next. The car speeds toward the park. Soon, they spot the 3 targets standing ahead. The bald vampire smirks and gives his order. He tells Hizen to run them over. The car accelerates, rushing straight toward the 3 figures. But just as it is about to hit them, something unexpected happens. The 3 targets are not real people. They are actually disguised bone skeletons. In an instant, Xiongwu uses his skill to turn them into bone spears. The sharp weapons pierce through the car, damaging it badly. The car swerves and crashes to a stop. Before the bald vampire can react, Xiongwu punches through the car window. With incredible strength, he grabs the bald vampire and drags him outside. The bald vampire struggles, trying to break free. He attempts to mimic Xiongwu's movements, but Xiongwu is much faster. He delivers a powerful kick straight to the bald vampire's chin, sending him flying backward. Xiongwu stands over him, his eyes cold and serious. He demands to know how many people are upstairs in the apartment. The bald vampire grits his teeth, refusing to answer. Then, without warning, his body starts changing. His eyes glow red, and his muscles become more defined. His fangs grow longer. He is fully transformed into a complete vampire. Without hesitation, he lunges at Xiangwu, trying to sink his fangs into his neck. Before he can reach him, Xiangwu's skeleton moves swiftly. In one quick motion, he swings his weapon and chops off one of the bald vampire's hands. The severed hand falls to the ground. The bald vampire's and watches in horror. His face turns pale and his hands start trembling. He knows that if his leader is struggling, he has no chance of survival. Xiang Wu turns his attention to the man. He asks again about the number of enemies upstairs. This time, the terrified An speaks. His voice shakes as he confesses that there are 8 people waiting inside the apartment. He starts to say more, but before he can finish, the bald vampire moves suddenly. In one swift motion, he beheads his own man. Blood splashes everywhere. Han Ho and Jisoo flinch in shock and disgust. They cannot believe what they just witnessed. The bald vampire does not even hesitate. He does not care about his allies. As the lackey's body falls to the ground, something disturbing happens. The bald vampire's wrist bones begin to change shape. They stretch and twist, forming into a sharp-pointed blade. Then, he picks up the severed head of his man and starts drinking blood from it. The moment he drinks the blood, his body heals. His severed hand starts regenerating. At the same time, his stats increase. Xiangwu watches closely, analyzing what is happening. He realizes that this is how the vampire class works. The bald vampire was originally a 3-star ninja. However, after being bitten by Professor Red, he became a low-ranked vampire. Once someone turns into a vampire, they are stuck at level 1. But there is a way to grow stronger. Instead of killing monsters, vampires can kill humans and absorb their stats by drinking their blood. After healing himself, the bald vampire takes things even further. He activates Berserk mode. The moment the skill is activated, all of his stats temporarily increase by 20%. His body becomes faster, stronger, and more powerful. However, Berserk mode comes with a huge penalty. After exiting Berserk mode, his stats will be reduced by 50% for the next 10 hours. The bald vampire does not care about the drawback. Right now, all he wants is to kill Xiangwu and his team. Xiangwu watches the transformation carefully. He thinks to himself that the vampire class might be even more brutal than his own necromancer class. Vampires do not just kill for experience points. They consume their enemies to grow stronger. Xiangwu immediately turns to Han Ho and Jisoo. He tells them to get behind him. At the same time, he orders his skeleton minions to attack. The skeletons rush forward, their weapons aimed at the vampire. But the bald vampire is now much faster. He moves like a shadow, easily dodging all of their attacks. His glowing red eyes lock onto Xiangwu. He does not care about the skeletons. His target is clear. In an instant, he dashes straight towards Xiangwu. Xiangwu blocks the bald vampire's attack with his shield. The force of the strike is strong, but Xiangwu stands his ground. Jisoo sees an opening and slashes at the vampire with her swords. However, the vampire moves with incredible speed, dodging each attack with ease. The two begin exchanging blows, their movements quick and precise. Han Ho decides to help. He starts throwing daggers one after another. The vampire blocks them, but Han Ho does not stop. He keeps throwing daggers at a rapid pace, almost like a Gatling gun. This frustrates the vampire. His patience runs out, and he dashes toward Han Ho, intending to take him down. Just as he is about to attack, the skeleton steps in. He successfully parries the vampire's strike, stopping him in his tracks. The skeleton quickly counters, attempting to slash the vampire's neck. But somehow the vampire manages to dodge at the last second. Xiangwu sees an opportunity and rushes in from behind with his shield. However, the vampire reacts quickly. With a single powerful strike, he destroys Xiangwu's shield completely. The fight becomes intense. Xiangwu and the vampire start exchanging fierce blows. The vampire appears confident, smirking as he dodges and attacks. Jisoo sees a chance and attempts a sneak attack from behind. She swings her burning sword at him, but the vampire is too fast. He dodges at the last second once again. Righty, who is positioned behind Jisoo, sees his opportunity. Without hesitation, he leaps forward and swings his weapon. This time, he manages to cut off the vampire's arm. The vampire stumbles back, hissing in pain. Xiongwu immediately orders his minions to attack, but before they can, the vampire's backup arrives. The thugs who followed the vampire freeze in fear. They finally see their boss's true form, and it terrifies them. Meanwhile, the vampire's severed arm starts regenerating. However, before it can fully grow back, Jisoo rushes in and chops it off again. An orc skeleton charges at the vampire. The vampire, thinking it is a real attack, smashes the skeleton with all his strength. But it was just a trick. The orc skeleton was merely a distraction. Xiongwu seizes the moment. He stabs his sword through the broken skeleton. The blade pierces straight through and stabs the vampire's neck. The vampire gasps, unable to believe what just happened. Before he can react, Xiongwu swings his weapon one final time. With a clean, powerful strike, he chops off the vampire's head. The fight is over. The system rewards Xiongwu's party with 1,000 gold for killing a level 1 player. Now, Xiongwu understands what was happening inside H apartments. The people inside were murdering other players for their gold and experience points. He turns his attention to the vampire's remaining men. They are now completely surrounded by Xiongwu's skeleton minions. Xiongwu gives them one chance. He tells them to drop their weapons or face death. Terrified, the thugs quickly obey. They throw their weapons to the ground and surrender. Desperate to stay alive, they begin talking. They reveal that the bald vampire was not their real boss. Their actual leader is much stronger. However, they know very little about him. This was their first time seeing their bald boss's true vampire form. Xiongwu realizes something important. If their real boss has the power to turn other players into monsters, then he must have a 5-star class or higher. That kind of power is extremely dangerous. He then asks them how many people they have killed. One of the thugs hesitates but finally confesses. They have murdered 21 or 22 people so far. Xiongwu's anger rises. His expression darkens. Without hesitation, he orders his minions to kill all of them. The skeletons move swiftly, eliminating the remaining thugs. The system rewards them with 5,000 gold for the kills. Even Han Ho and Jisoo are a little shocked. They did not expect Xiongwu to wipe out all of them without mercy. However, Xiongwu remains firm in his decision. He looks at them and speaks. He believes if they don't kill them now, they will only kill more innocent people. Han Ho and Jisoo exchange glances. After thinking for a moment, they both agree with Xiongwu's choice. The next morning, someone posts a message on the app. They reveal that the people inside H apartments were murderers. The poster barely escaped with his life. He had been observing the situation from afar. However, someone else arrived and wiped out the killers using skeletons. Sergeant Kim reads the post and smiles. He immediately knows it must have been Xiongwu's party. Feeling grateful, he leaves a comment praising Xiongwu and his group. Other survivors who were saved by Xiongwu at the school also start posting positive things about him. However, no one knows his real name. Meanwhile, in a ruined building, a mysterious figure reads the comments. This person smirks, clearly pleased by the news. Without saying a word, they leave the building, heading toward an unknown location. Later, Han Ho tells Xiongwu about a new post by someone using the name Prosecutor. This person seems to be trying to help the other survivors. The post says that if anyone lacks gold and wants to post something, they can just comment below, and others will assist them. Prosecutor also shares some minor but useful information. One of the key points is that players can use the settings to change their nicknames. This will help them hide their real identities if needed. Many of the comments under the post are from people searching for their missing family members. Others discuss useful survival tips, including information about wolves that can jump up to 2 stories high. Finally, Seong-woo's party arrives at Han-ho's house. Han-ho stands in front of the door, his heart pounding. He takes a deep breath and whispers to himself, hoping his parents are still alive. Inside the building, the group finds several dead orcs scattered along the stairs. The sight of the bodies unsettles Han-ho, but his concern quickly shifts to his parents. Reaching room 202, he desperately calls out for them. Moments later, his parents rush out, relieved to see their son alive. It turns out that neither of them picked a class card, which surprises Han-ho. Given his father's love for card games, he had expected otherwise. When asked how they managed to survive the orc attack, his father casually explains that he used pesticide spray to drive them away. The revelation leaves everyone in disbelief. After settling down, the group shares a meal together. Han-ho's mother, still sharp-tongued, thanks Jisoo and Seong-woo for bringing back her good-for-nothing son. She then serves green tea as a small gesture of gratitude. Han-ho tries to impress her with stories of his accomplishments, but she quickly shuts him down, uninterested in his exaggerated tales. Outside, faint lights flicker in the distance. A group of bikers watches the building with grinning smiles, their presence signaling trouble. Later, inside the apartment, Jisoo finishes her shower and happily thanks Han-ho's mother for lending her pajamas. Meanwhile, Seong-woo, Han-ho, and the skeleton take turns showering. Seong-woo feels a sense of relief knowing Han-ho's parents are alive. It also amuses him that pesticide spray was enough to fend off orcs, creatures that rely heavily on their sense of smell. Despite the temporary peace, Seong-woo knows this place is not safe. The orcs they encountered earlier were just scouts, and if the main group arrives, an all-out war will break out. However, their biggest concern is deciding where to go next. A new post by Prosecutor appears on the Survivor forum. He mentions that a friend with a 3-star Pioneer class has created a safe zone at Yeongdeungpo Station, a place where monsters cannot enter. However, there is a catch. Gold or food supplies are required to stay there because Pioneer skills consume a lot of resources. Seong-woo remains skeptical, but acknowledges that such a scenario is possible in a world that now functions like a game. Still, traveling that far with Han-ho's parents would be too risky. Another option appears in the comments. A man calling himself Section Chief Gu, also a 3-star Pioneer, claims to have a safe place inside Hwaseong Fortress. However, unlike Prosecutor's friend, he demands rent in exchange for entry. The fortress is only 20 minutes away by bus, making it a much more viable destination. Seong-woo's group decides to head there. The next morning, the journey begins. Han-ho's parents accompany them, adding an extra layer of responsibility. As they travel, Han-ho mentions delinquents who have been stealing from other survivors. Seong-woo, already on edge, considers them a nuisance but not a serious threat, until they appear. A group of delinquents on motorcycles blocks their path. One of them, a cocky girl, sizes them up and sneers, dismissing them as weaklings. She demands their gold and supplies, treating them like easy prey. Seong-woo's irritation spikes. These third-rate thugs had chosen the wrong people to mess with. Seong-woo stands firm, prepared to command his hidden minions from the building behind him. But before he can give the order, a sudden sound echoes through the air. Without hesitation, the delinquents turn and flee, their faces filled with fear. Seong-woo quickly understands why. They were not the real predators here. A pack of giant wolves emerges, their eyes glowing menacingly in the dim light. Unlike mindless monsters, these wolves are moving carefully, their predatory instincts guiding them. This is bad. Seong-woo's group is at a disadvantage, and he knows they can't fight them head-on. Without wasting time, he signals his group to slowly back away toward the building. Just as they reach the entrance, one of the wolves suddenly lunges at them. Thinking fast, Seong-woo grabs a bottle filled with slime and hurls it at the wolf's face. The corrosive liquid splashes onto its skin, making the creature howl in pain. At the same moment, Seong-woo's minions unleash a barrage of bone spears, striking the wolf from all sides. Within seconds, the beast collapses, lifeless. Another wolf tries to flee, sensing the danger. But one of Seong-woo's minions blocks its escape route. The desperate wolf bites down on the skeleton, but this was all part of the plan. The slime-filled bones shatter in the wolf's mouth, covering its tongue and throat with acid. The creature stumbles, struggling to breathe. Righty doesn't let this chance slip away. With one swift and precise attack, he finishes off the weakened beast. The last remaining wolf trembles after watching its pack fall so easily. But before it can escape, a rain of bone spears pierces its body, bringing its life to an end. The battle is over. Seong-woo's party receives 240 gold per wolf slain, and he levels up to 7. After the fight, Ji Soo-yun seems troubled. She quietly wonders if she and Han-ho are becoming a burden to Seong-woo. Seeing her concern, Seong-woo reassures her that she is helpful, but he remains skeptical about Han-ho's growth. As a necromancer, Seong-woo attempts to resurrect one of the wolves, but his level is still too low for such an ability. The next morning, the sky is disturbed by loud mechanical sounds. A helicopter flies overhead, but it's being chased by wyverns, large dragon-like creatures with massive wings. Seong-woo and his companions watch from a window, their eyes wide with shock. Before anyone can react, a larger wyvern appears. Its scaly body is more muscular, and its eyes burn with intelligence. This is no ordinary creature. It is an alpha male, a field boss. Without effort, the beast tears through the helicopter, sending it crashing down in a fiery explosion. A heavy silence fills the air. Even the military is no match for these monsters. Their path forward is blocked. Several wyverns are resting on the rooftops ahead, their wings folded as they sleep. Seong-woo makes a logical decision. They must wait until the wyverns leave. There's no point in taking unnecessary risks. The group decides to rest for now, keeping their movements quiet. Night falls. The wyverns haven't moved. The group waits, tense and alert. Suddenly, a strange message appears in front of them. It instructs all survivors to pick a class card that will help them survive in this chaotic world. Han-ho excitedly tells his parents to choose the card with the most stars, believing it will be the strongest option. But Seong-woo isn't convinced. He knows that choosing the highest starred card isn't always the best choice. Instead, finding a card that complements one's abilities is more important. A 15-second countdown begins. Cards appear in front of each survivor, and they must pick quickly. At the same time, survivors across different locations are choosing their cards. Once someone selects a card, it disappears forever. Han-ho frantically searches for a 4-star card, determined to get something powerful, but before he can lock in his choice, someone else selects it first. In his panic, he accidentally taps on a 1-star priest card. A wave of disappointment washes over him. He was hoping for something strong, but now he's stuck with a 1-star class. His new skill grants him a 10-second shield whenever he kills an enemy. It's not useless, but it's not what he wanted. Meanwhile, Seong-woo carefully considers his options. Instead of blindly choosing a high-star card, he selects a 3-star Dark Mage Link card. The moment he picks it, it merges with his Necromancer class, granting him new abilities. His new skill, Death's Aura, enhances his minion's strength while weakening nearby enemies. This is exactly the type of ability he was looking for. Han-ho's father, despite never playing games before, picks a 3-star Pioneer card. To everyone's surprise, he now has the ability to create safety zones. Seong-woo is thrilled by this development. With Han-ho's father possessing Pioneer abilities, their need to go to Hwaseong Fortress is gone. They can now build a safe place on their own without relying on anyone else. For the first time in a while, Seong-woo feels like they have an actual plan forward. Han-ho's father is overjoyed with his new Pioneer class, feeling a sense of purpose in this chaotic world. Meanwhile, Han-ho's mother has chosen a 1-star chef card. Han-ho, frustrated, questions her decision, insisting that she should have picked a class that would help in battles. His parents' expressions fall at his words. They had raised him for 20 years. always protecting him, and now their own son expects them to fight. The realization is painful, but they remain silent. Jisoo Yun, on the other hand, has chosen a 3-star Hitman card. She now possesses a new passive skill, Supreme Sense, which heightens her senses whenever she's in danger. She clenches her fists, determined. She needs to become stronger. She wants to be more useful to Seong-woo, not just as a teammate, but as someone he can rely on in battle. Seong-woo shifts his focus to Han-ho's father, asking him to explain the pioneer skills in detail. The ability requires 10 mana every 10 minutes to create a safe zone, which covers an area of 2,150 square feet, with a height limit of 33 feet. Once his mana runs out, the skill will start consuming 100 gold per 10 minutes to maintain the barrier. The shield regenerates over time, but it can still be broken by powerful attacks. After carefully analyzing the information, Seong-woo decides they can't afford to use it yet. They will save it for emergencies only. He also warns the group that other survivors with the Pioneer class will likely try to abuse their power. It's best to stay away from them. Just as they finish discussing their strategy, the wyverns finally wake up. Stretching their enormous wings, the creatures take off into the sky, clearing the way. Seong-woo wastes no time. He orders Han-ho to check the forum for the location of a store or a roulette machine. He needs to spend his gold and get stronger. Before Han-ho can respond, a loud rumbling sound echoes in the distance. Motorbikes. The group immediately becomes alert. Seong-woo quickly forms a plan. Instead of fighting, they will ask the bikers for information. Meanwhile, the delinquent gang is hiding inside a meat shop, waiting for the wyverns to leave. Their leader, Taesong, a level 6 fighter, needs just a little more gold to spin the silver roulette. After what seems like forever, the wyverns finally leave, and Taesong returns to his hideout. But something is off. The place is too quiet. As he steps inside, he finds his gang members gathered together, their faces full of sorrow. One of them speaks up hesitantly. Their friend, Yoo-jin, didn't collect enough gold. Because of that, the vampire turned her into a lesser vampire. Taesong's heart sinks. His friend's pale skin and lifeless eyes are hard to look at. Yoo-jin is no longer the same person. Another vampire standing in the room watches Taesong carefully. He then speaks, his voice dripping with amusement. He questions Taesong's past actions, specifically why he killed his former leader, Woo-seok. Taesong takes a deep breath before responding. He had no choice. Their previous leader had transformed into a complete vampire, and he had slaughtered countless people. The vampire listening to him doesn't seem impressed. With a smirk, he delivers an ultimatum. If Taesong and his gang fail to gather 10,000 gold in 2 days, he will kill them all. Before the tension can rise further, the doors suddenly burst open. Seong-woo steps inside with his party, his expression unreadable but clearly unimpressed. The vampire turns to face him, narrowing his eyes. Seong-woo is looking around the room. With a mocking tone, he comments on the poor customer service provided by these thugs. The vampire's smirk fades, irritation flashing in his crimson eyes. He demands to know what they want. Seong-woo meets his gaze without hesitation. He wants everything they have. At this, the vampire's expression darkens. His fangs become visible, glinting under the dim light. Seong-woo, noticing this, assumes that this vampire must be the true leader of the gang. The vampire rushes towards Seong-woo to attack, but Seong-woo's minion comes in his way. Grabbing the vampire's hand, the skeleton throws him away. Taesong watches in shock. Seong-woo then attacks the vampire, aiming for his hand, as he wants to confirm one thing, that is, if the vampires can regenerate their head.